Alright guys, welcome back to another Opera video where we are about to talk about the upcoming event, which is going to be Edward's Lost Chapter, where Edward is going to get his LD extension, and then with Palom is going to be getting his LD weapon. So we're going to be looking into both topics in this video, and we're going to determine whether or not it is worth pulling for Palom's LD weapon, and then if you don't have Edward's LD weapon, if it is worth pulling for his LD weapon now that he is going to be getting his LD extension. So as always, if you guys do enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future Opera content. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's first talk about Edward's LD extension, followed by Palom's new LD weapon. So with Edward's LD extension, during his own turn, he increases the Brave recovered by 10%, and it only activates through his own ability. So that excludes any type of buffs that either call abilities or its teammates provides. It will not activate that Brave recovery. Whenever the quest begins or the battle begins, he starts off with the tranquil melody that he grants himself whenever you use his LD ability. Now, whenever you do use his LD ability, he increases the Brave recovered based on 100% of his max Brave. It used to be 20% of his max Brave, but now it is based on 100%. Now he grants the Tranquil Melody buff for 12 actions, and now before it used to not do any type of damage, but now it deals AoE, full AoE HP damage based on 100% of his current Brave, and he does not consume any of that Brave, which is a good thing. Now, if you don't remember what his LD ability does, basically it's kind of like a I don't know, like a mini paralysis in a way, where basically whenever the enemy acts and you have that sleep debuff on the enemy does not act, and so it will basically skip their turn. But the thing about that debuff is that whenever you act, the amount of actions that is left on that debuff will decrease by 1. Now, whenever there is no more actions left on that debuff, it will delay them by 1. So that is how that sleep debuff works. So you have to time out, or yeah, you have to time properly when you use that sleep debuff, and then you gotta time out your action so that you won't like mess up or accidentally, you know, let that go off when you don't want it to, and then you could potentially get nuked by accident when you didn't want that to happen. Now, the buff that he grants himself is actually a party-wide buff. Or technically it's like an aura. So the Tranquil Melody, what it does is that the party receives a Brave damage delta. They get an increase to their initial Brave up, max Brave up, recovered Brave, max Brave overflow up, and then while the Awakened Courage, which is where you get that from Edward's skill 2, is active, it turns the Tranquil Melody 2 with improved effects. So what that does is that it increases the party Brave damage delta, which is originally at 10%, now it will be at 20%. Now for his call ability, it does pretty much everything that I said earlier, where it does the full AoE damage, except that it sets all enemies Brave to 0, which is a really good thing as well, because it gives you another option for gravity call ability. So you have like a Mediterranean with her LD call that sets all enemies Brave to 0. Well, if you do have Edward's LD call, you have another option to set the enemy's Brave to 0. And then it inflicts the sleep debuff to all enemies for 4 actions, and then it kind of it repeats or it does what I mentioned earlier with the sleep process, where it won't let the enemy act and the debuff will start going down until it has no more actions, and then it will delay them by 1. So Palom's LD weapon equips in the LD ability called Twin Cast Double Blizzaga. Now there are 3 different forms to his LD ability. You got the regular, you got the plus version, and the plus version. The regular is an AoE HP attack that has 2 HP dumps, and it deals splits HP damage. He grants himself a Twins Resolve buff that lasts for 8 actions, and he also extends the duration of his own active buffs for 4 actions. Then, after you use it for the first time, it turns into the plus version, which now is an AoE HP attack that does 3 HP dumps. It still deals split HP damage. It grants him the Twins Resolve buff, but instead of 8 actions, it now extends up to 12 actions, and it still extends the duration of his own active buffs for 4 actions. Now, for the plus version, there's actually a little bit more to it. So what this one does is that it increases his own attack by 20%. Now, with his plus, it is now a 4 HP dump AoE HP attack that still does split HP damage, right? And the Twins Resolve buff now extends, or basically he grants it to himself for 16 actions. So it's kind of similar in a way, or almost, to his skill 2, where you have to basically continuously use the same skill over and over to increase the effects and get the most out of it. So that's pretty much how Palom works, which I believe, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think a lot of people are too much of a fan of, but you know, we'll get into that here in just a bit. So with the plus version of his twin cast double Blizzaga, what happens aside from the 4 HP dumps now is that his Brave Attack turns into Brave Attack plus, which is now a 6-hit Magic Brave plus HP attack, so it does deal damage. It has a low action delay, and he recovers Brave based on 30% of the HP damage dealt, and he does extend the duration of his own active buffs by 1 action. His HP attack turns into Dual Cast plus, which is a 6-hit Magic Brave plus HP attack, and it deals splash damage, 50% splash damage to other targets, and it also extends the duration of his own active buffs for 1 action. And then after you use both, or either Brave Attack plus or Dual Cast plus, it will revert back to its either Brave Attack or HP attack. Now, the buff Twins Resolve, the recovered Brave max Brave overflow limit gets increased by 20%. When his turn begins, he recovers Brave based on 20% of his own max Brave. He has an elemental weakness Brave damage up by 50%. Now, when inflicting Break while the buff is active, he nullifies action delay and grants an additional turn that does not contribute towards the turn count unless you are in the summon phase or you bring a friend support Palom. Another turn will not be granted when inflicting Break during the free turn, and it increases the HP damage dealt by 50% on the following turn after inflicting Break. Now, with his LD extension, at the start of the battle, he grants the Twin Resolve buff to himself for 4 actions, and then whenever you use his LD ability, whether it be the regular, the plus version, or the plus version, he actually cancels all enemies' break status before the first Brave attack. He gets an increase in Brave potency, and then he gets an increase in the overflow limit by 20% or up to 200%. So normally he has an overflow up to 180%. Now it gets an increase by 20% or up to 200%. Man, that was a mouthful with Palom's kit. Like I don't remember it being that long until like I went over it just now. So, but anyways, we are now at the point of the video where I let you guys know how I feel about said characters based off of my experiences with said character, or I guess in this case for both characters. Let's start off with Edward. Now with Edward, his LD ability is actually pretty convenient and nice to have. If you pulled for his LD weapon when it first came out in Global with his original event, you're in luck because his LD card ability is actually pretty convenient. The fact that you have another form of gravity to be able to set the enemy's Brave to 0 if they are not already broken is it comes in handy, all right? And then with that sleep debuff, if you time that correctly, you are able to basically negate the enemy from being able to do anything, especially if you know that the enemy will be doing attacks back to back to back. If you know that they have high turn rate, knowing that the sleep debuff has 4 actions on it can really save your butt. Not only that, but if you know that the enemy does not cleanse, right? And if they have that framed buff around their turn, that can also help you out, because if you are unable to delay them, if you are unable to break them or re-break them to the point where you can't even push them back, that sleep debuff can help you out, because if they break you and then all of a sudden they hit you with an HP attack, you're screwed. But with that sleep debuff, that could possibly save your butt and you can continue on with said fight. So with his LD call, it's actually not a bad one to pick up if you have the extra resources, because I know that there are 2 other units that a lot of people are going for. I know that people are going to be pulling for Galoof. I know a lot of people are going to be pulling for Tifa. So the decision as to whether or not people are going to be pulling on this banner, I can see a lot of people in the comment section letting me know that they are possibly going to skip on this banner because they are waiting for both Galoof and or Tifa. Now for Palom, look, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I could give 2 craps about Palom, you know, and you guys already know I am 100% honest with you guys. I really just don't give a crap about Palom, but at the same time, I gotta be honest and let you guys know how I feel about him. So with Palom, I mean, he's not. Palom is not really all that. I'm gonna be 100% with y'all. He's not all that, you know. When in the very little times that I use Palom, he really, as an ice damage dealer, the one thing that I do not like about him is the fact that I feel like I am almost, I'm not saying that I am 100% have to, but I feel like I almost feel like I have to use his skills constantly, and I don't like that. I like to be able to spread around the what I like to do. Like I like to be able to like say like, oh, okay, I don't have to use the skill. I have a good amount of brave. Let me just hit him with an HP attack. The fact that with his like LD ability, he has 3 different versions of it, which is similar to what his skill 2 does, where you basically have to like build up his buffs, and the more that you build up his buff, the more power he builds up, the more powerful he gets. See, I'm not a fan of that. I am more of a player that where like if I can build it up in just like a few turns, we're good to go. But with Palom, I just feel like throughout the entire fight, I'm just building him up throughout the entire fight, and by the time I'm done with the fight, I haven't even finished building him up. You know, and am I sound like I'm exaggerating? Probably, but overall, though, if you are needing a DPS, you know, because I really do not count Palom as a full DPS, as an ice DPS character. If you're needing somebody who does ice damage, because he didn't get any changes with his skill 1 or his skill 2, if you're needing an ice damage dealer, Palom is a decent option, but he is not the best option to pick up. In my opinion, you can easily skip out on this character, and you can move on and pass up on him and wait for other characters in the future, other ice damage dealers in the future. I mean, hell, if you want, you can easily wait for Kurosame, because I think Kurosame is next month, if I'm not mistaken. And you can pick him up because he is one of the top tier LD call abilities to have. So if you are going to skip for Palom, then I can tell you right now that Kurosame will be the better option in terms of the amount of usage. And of course, with Kurosame, you know, he has a more he is in my opinion, he's a more better character than Palom, because like he is more of a utility type of character, because he brings more to the table instead of Palom, where you would think that he would be a DPS type of character, but in my opinion he's not, because I feel like he's just there's something that he is missing, and I'm just not entirely sure what it is. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be real with you guys, and I'm gonna just say, like, Palom, he is easily skippable. So, but you guys let me know in the comment section below. I'm curious to know what you guys think and what you guys are gonna be doing for this upcoming banner and or event. Let me know in the comment section below. Other than that, that's gonna be it for the video. If you did enjoy it, like, subscribe, do other good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.